Hello and welcome to this new YouTube video on my YouTube channel, where we talk today about Sony's professional audio products with some news and some upgrades of the existing products. Sorry that you have not seen some videos from me in the last 2 months, but I was busy traveling around Europe visiting customers and have done a lot of trainings. But now I have a list of news here and some questions and answers which I received in the last weeks. Let's start with the DWT-P01N, the plug-on transmitter from the DWX-Series. This is now end of life, and we have a new version which looks like this. This is the DWT-P30. If you look on both, they look identically, and you are right, it is the same housing, the same connector, so everything is 100% the same as before. The only thing we change are internally. So we changed to the last version, the generation 3 of the amplifier and the digital internals. So it is now supporting 4 codecs, mode 1, 2, 3 and 4. It's supporting the L and the H version, so we go from 72 MHz up to 144 MHz bandwidth per device. So we have a low version and a high version in Europe here. And it also supports now the 2, 10 and 25 milliwatt for the RF power. It's fully compatible to all versions of all receivers we have ever made in the DWX series, because it supports codec 1, as long as the receiver supports the frequency range the DWT-P30 covers, 470 to 710 MHz. The P01N is end of life. We still have some products in stock which we sell for a lower price, and the P30 is in delivery now. The second product I have for you is a new charger. Not made by Sony, is made by a Dutch guy. The link to Jopp's website is on the description. The name is DWX-BX1-8. It's an 8-bay charger where you can charge up to 8 NP-BX1 type batteries at the same time. Very simple, green LED, and there are some flashing red LEDs which shows that nothing happens. If I plug in a battery, it changes to red, means it's charging now, and if it's ready it goes to green and the blinking red LED is off. It can cover up to 8 at the same time, so it's very simple. It works well, battery is not coming off, has some cooling slots here, and it's charging the battery in, I would say, 3 hours. I have used it for the last 2 months. It works well here on my desk. No issues with charging 1, 2, 3 or even 8 batteries at the same time. That was all working well. It comes with a power supply like this. It's a small brick, and this works also from 85 to 235 volts. So wherever you are in the world, it will do the job, and it works for all Sony NP-BX1 or NP-BX1 third-party made batteries. And that's all about the DWX-BX1 8-slot battery charger. Link is in the description. Okay, let's change this a little bit here. And let's go and let's talk about some microphones. There was a question on YouTube about the difference between ECM77 and ECM V1 BMP microphone. I think the first thing we have to explain is the different connectors Sony has. So Sony is using the mini jack, this one here, and this is BMP, and B is for black, and then the MP stays for musician plug, which is the 3.5mm jack, and also the ECM77, but also the ECM V1 BMP is coming with this connector. Then we have the Hyros connector. There's only available the ECM90 and the ECM77. This is a connector which is on Sony transmitters since, I don't know, since the end of the 70s, I guess. It's working well, high reliability, it never breaks. but this is a connector which is only used from Audio-Technica and Sony. And there is also a Lemo version, which I have somewhere. Yeah, here is the microphone with the Lemo version, a standard 3-pin Lemo, so the input on the devices with this Lemo is compatible to all Lemo microphone types you have in the market. But coming back to the question about difference ECM77 and V1 BMP. So let's take away this thing here. The first thing you notice clearly is the difference in size of the capsules. The ECM77 is much smaller and lighter than the ECM V1 BMP. Of course, there's also a big difference in price, around 200 euros between the two mics. So the ECM77 is our standard main microphone. It's a very, very good lavalier, which sounds really well, less cable noise and relatively small capsules. It has a little bit thicker cable than other microphones, but you can really take your body pack and swing it around on the cable and it will not break. So this is a really tough cable. It's, I think, a standard microphone in the broadcast world. The ECM V1 BMP came together with the DWX-Series, and of course it's a compromise in price and quality because you get the body pack for 400 euros together with this mic. So it's a compromise between audio quality and price. The cable is also strong, not as strong than the ECM77, but it's a strong cable. It's only available with the mini jack, and all microphones are only available in black. So main difference is cable, capsule size, and of course quality. The V1 is a good mic, sounds great, doing the job, but the 77 is the better version, which gives you more transients, more high-end and more low-end than the V1 BMP. Both are okay for this price. Yeah, and that's the difference between the two mics. I'm using the ECM77 here on my transmitter together with a DWX-Series. So you know the sound of the ECM77 with my voice very well, but of course it's a microphone. So if you like to find out what the difference in sound, then try it out. Okay, let me clean the desk a little bit. The next product I have for you is Sony's MDR-M-V1, the new headphone for studio and mastering and for spatial audio. It's an open back headphone. Open back means that the housing around the driver is not closed, which is normally the case, which gives you some isolation from the rest of the world. But an open back means that the energy the driver produces on the back side can disappear outside the headphone, and it's not bouncing around in the housing and gives some reflections and some negative impacts on the driver and on the sound. The other point is that this headphone is made for mastering and studio and spatial audio, which means you have to wear it for hours and hours. And it's really nice to use this in this environment. The pouches here is Alcantara, is very soft. The headphone is under 300 grams, very light. And if you wear it, it gives you enough pressure that it feels well, but it's not so much that you have the feeling that it squeezes your brain. Technical data are 5 to 80 kilohertz, very flat response on the face side, very flat sound, but it produces the bass you like to hear. So this is then problem with open back headphones because the low frequency can cancel out because the backside of the headphone is open. But with the MDR-M-V1, it sounds really good from my point of view. All the bass you need is there. It's not a boombox. It's not a mega bass. Things like this. It's not a headphone for DJs, I would say. But it gives you all the nature sound you like to have. It comes with a detachable cable, 4-pin mini jack. If you want to make your own symmetrical cables, you can do this. And there's an adapter in the box from 6.3 to 3.5 millimeter mini jack 3-pin. You can get the cable This is not a spiral cable, which I like. I don't like the spiral cables. So this is the perfect cable. It's very soft. You can flex it, but I think stiff enough for good reliability if you use it on a daily basis. What can I say about the sound? I mean, it's a headphone. You like it or you don't like it. You have to try it by yourself. I have the feeling that's the best of all headphones I have ever heard from Sony. I'm not a specialist in headphones, so I don't try any headphones, whatever, over 1,000 euros or something like this. But if I have a chance to listen to it, then I listen to several headphones. And this is the most natural one I have ever heard from Sony. And I have here the 7520 and the 7506. I mean, everybody in the world knows the 7506. This is a headphone for around 100 euros, and it's the butter and bread model we have, I would say. Still a great headphone, gives you a little bit more isolation, so it works also in ENG or broadcast, so in a louder environment, that's fine. The 7520 is not longer produced or not longer sold in Europe because the sound pressure level it can do, it's so high that we have to stop selling it because there is a law in Europe about the maximum sound pressure level over time. So, but this is the closed headphone. So the MDR MV1 is by far the best I have heard. And yeah, give it a try. Check it out if you need a headphone for studio mastering or spatial audio. By the way, spatial audio, or as we say in Sony, Audio 360, the website and the press release say that this headphone is specially made for Audio 360, which is not wrong, but also, let's say, a little bit difficult in the words they have used. Spatial audio is made in the algorithm, in your computer, in your setup, and it's not produced in the headphone. So every headphone can produce spatial audio sound. The advantage of the MDR MV1 is that during the whole development process and during the rehearsal sessions we have done and test sessions with beta testers, spatial audio and stereo was always mandatory in the tests. So the headphone is developed for both situations, and especially for the Audio 360. Of course, again, every headphone can reproduce spatial audio files, but Sony MDR MV1 is the first headphone, as far as I know, where the spatial audio part was a part of the whole development process. So the MDR MV1 is a headphone for mastering, mixdown, studio setups. It can be used perfectly in stereo and in spatial audio situations. And if it's a headphone for you or not, you have to find out by yourself. Go to the next dealer or order one and test it. Please write me down in the comment field what you think about the MDR MV1. So the last product I like to show you is the Sony C80 microphone. The C80 is coming in this wonderful white box, and it's the little sister of the C100, but also of the C800G. I was astonished how many people compared both microphones on the NEM show and how close the sound was between the C80 and the C800G, which I have not used for, I don't know, 20 years, because we cannot sell it in Europe during some RoHS regulations. So the C800 is only sold in Japan and in the US. What can I say about the big diaphragm microphone? It is a small mic with a 25mm capsule. It has a low cut, it has a pad switch with 10 dB, and it's a fixed cardioid pattern. So one thing you have to know is that this is the front, where the cardio pattern logo is. This is the side where you have to speak in, not the other side. That's the back side, not perfect. I know that there are Sony logos on both sides and people think that where the switches are, this is the correct side. No, it's the side with the pattern here and the switches are on the back side. So that's one thing you have to know. The second thing is that It has this dual housing, which avoids the microphones from some vibrations in the housing, and it's using the capsule from the C100 and also some parts of the electronic, but it's a little bit different in the sound characteristics. Comes like the C100 with these wonderful plastic spider, which works well. If you turn the ring here, then it fits. It doesn't get loose here. That's all fine. What can I say about the sound quality? It's a microphone. I've used it several times. I've used also the C100. It's a great mic. I'm not producing any music, so I'm producing videos here, and I do trainings for radio mics and other products. So it's not on me to say how good it is. I like the sound. I love the clearance. I love the low end, but how good the sound really is, you have to test by yourself, or you go on to YouTube search area and search for Sony C800 and C100 and C80, and you will find massive videos where people describe how good the microphone is. And that's all what I have for you today. Sorry for the mix of radio mics, microphones and headphones, but that's all the summary I have noticed from the market in the last 3 or 4 months. And yeah, if you like the video, thumbs up. If you don't like the video, thumbs down. That's okay. Write me in the comment field what you like to see next time, or if you have any questions. And thanks for watching.